My child, hear this with a heart ready to receive and a spirit prepared to wait, for a miracle is stirring on the edge of your days, and it draws near with a tenderness that will surprise you, with timing that will not be your timing, but will be exactly what is needed. Do not rush it, do not demand it on your own schedule, but do not doubt that it is coming, for I am weaving unseen threads even now, knitting together circumstances, softening hearts, opening doors that seemed sealed, and preparing the stage for grace to move in a way that will leave no doubt in your remembering. There will be moments when nothing appears to change, and your patience will be tested, when the clock ticks and the ache in your chest whispers that delay equals denial. But remember that delay is not absence and waiting is not failure. It is the soil where readiness grows, and sometimes the miracle must be watered by seasons of preparation so that when it arrives it will remain. Watch for convergences, a conversation that seems accidental but carries counsel, a hand that reaches out for help when you thought you had none, finances that shift like a tide turning, health that tilts toward recovery with a single decision, relationships softened by an unexpected apology, opportunities aligning in ways that look too good to be true because heaven decided to move. Rejoice in small mercies now and rehearse them often, because gratitude is the drumbeat of expectation. When you count what you already have, you create space for more to be given, and thanksgiving becomes the language that greets the miracle when it appears. Do not hide your hope. Declare it, sing it, speak it aloud even with trembling lips, for spoken hope summons courage and gives form to what is otherwise only a wish. Invite others into this hope. Tell a faithful friend. Gather a few who will pray not to manufacture the outcome, but to align your hearts with the will of heaven, and watch as their faith becomes part of the atmosphere that helps the miracle land. Do not be surprised if the work ahead of you involves both joy and sorrow in strange measures. Miracles often come wrapped in humility and require a willing surrender of what you thought you needed in order to receive what you truly need. Some comforts may fall away as a gentle pruning so the new growth can take root. Do not mistake pruning for punishment, nor interpret the thinning of fields as a sign of absence. I am with you in every loss and in every gain. The hand that takes away is the very hand that brings back multiplied. There will be nights when fear mounts and whispers say the miracle is only a dream, when old doubts pound at the gate and memories of past disappointments try to rewrite the present. Resist those voices with the simple, steady drum of truth. I have said it, and therefore it shall be. I have promised, and my promise is not silent. Remember testimonies of deliverance from others and from your own life. Let these stories be your ammunition against unbelief. Write them down, rehearse them, sing them like lullabies over your soul until the cadence of hope drowns out the clamor of doubt. Expect practical signs as well as spiritual ones. A phone call at a precise moment, a door opening at the last minute, a check that covers a need exactly when you wondered how the rent would be paid. These are not coincidences, but the fingerprints of providence. When the miracle arrives, it may not look like the parade you imagined. It may be quieter, stranger, or humbler than your dream. But if your heart recognizes the way relief arrives, you will know that heaven has touched your threshold. Hold fast to mercy in the meantime, extend it to those who have hurt you, forgive injuries real and imagined, for bitterness builds walls that the miracle cannot enter through. It will search for an invitation and resentment opens doors. Let generosity be your posture, even when your cupboard seems thin, because generosity often unlocks the resources you need. Give away what you can and watch as supply returns in ways that defy calculation. Keep your hands busy with good work. Do not sit idle in anxious watching. Actively steward what you already have. Practice gratitude, serve others in small ways, and prepare your heart as if God were already here. In the doing you shape your readiness, and readiness is often what the miracle requires. Be patient with others and with yourself. Miracles do not hurry the heart into perfection. They meet you where you are and then lift you toward what can be. If shame or regret hangs heavy, bring them into the light, confess, repent, receive forgiveness, and you will clear a space for grace to enter. Pride resists the tender work of letting go. Humility opens the door wider than any strategy. Expect also a refining in character. Endurance will be cultivated, prayerfulness deepened, faith stretched like a trained muscle. These are not detours but part of the miracle's architecture. In the waiting you will learn to recognize the quiet stirrings of God's voice, to discern the small nudges that direct your next step, to abide in a peace that does not depend on immediate change. Cultivate silence and solitude, for in the hush I whisper, and in that whisper you will discover instructions, comfort, and sometimes the courage to choose differently. Do not fear the silence. Use it to tune your ear to the voice that has promised to come near. Keep watch over your speech, because words plant realities. Declare blessings over yourself and those you love. Speak deliverance instead of complaint. Call forth possibility rather than rehearse lack. Your words will be the first measure of the miracle's arrival. Spoken thanks invites blessing, and praise prepares the ground where the extraordinary can grow. If you believe in His unfailing love and grace, drop a yes in the comments to declare your faith. And if our messages uplift and inspire you, we'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to join us on this journey of spreading God's Word. May His blessings overflow in your life. Know this, the miracle I bring often involves community. It may come through a neighbor's generosity, a friend's sacrifice, a church's support, the skill of a professional, or the unexpected goodness of a stranger. Do not let pride keep you from receiving what others are willing to give. Allowing help is not weakness, but participation in the way the kingdom moves among people. Let your life be a channel of blessing, so that when the miracle arrives it not only restores you but multiplies outward. Let the healing be contagious, let the relief spread, let your testimony become a lamp for others still waiting. When restoration happens, be intentional to remember how you were carried. Keep records, sing new songs, teach the children the story of mercy, so that future generations will inherit a memory of God's faithfulness rather than a theology of scarcity. Be prepared for opposition too, for the enemy notices when heaven prepares to move, and will sometimes try to unsettle you with last-minute trials to test your resolve. Stand firm. Do not trade the promise for a temporary peace. If anxiety spikes before breakthrough, take it as a sign you are near, not as proof you are lost. Prayer and praise are your defensive posture. Declare the truth you know, confess the promises you have embraced, and keep the company of those who strengthen rather than diminish your hope. Rehearse the word, speak it, feed on it, let it be the scaffolding that holds you up when circumstances sway. Trust that delays are part of God's perfect timing, and that what is delayed is being prepared with a goodness that surpasses your immediate imagination. When the moment of miracle arrives, do not bury it in disbelief. Celebrate loudly, thank without reserve, testify without reserve. Make a memorial, something visible to mark the day mercy touched your life, so that in future seasons of fog you can point to an irrefutable line of grace. Let your song of gratitude be public. Let your testimony loosen hope in others who have been waiting. Remember that your healed story is now a pathway for someone else's deliverance. Give back some of what you received in acts of worship and generosity. Steward the miracle well so it multiplies. And when gratitude has been your posture for what was given, go on to steward what remains. Relationships healed, resources restored, health renewed, vocation revived. Tend these with prayer and wisdom so that the miracle endures. Finally, rest in this unshakable truth. You are seen, you are known, you are not forgotten, and the promise of what is coming comes from one who keeps promises. Do not let the slow rhythm of waiting steal your joy. Let hope be your constant companion, let faith be your daily practice, and let love be the measure by which you walk. Expectation does not replace action. It accompanies it. Walk forward, prepare, serve, give, forgive, worship, and keep watch with a calm heart. The miracle is coming soon, not because you fight to conjure it, but because the Creator moves on behalf of the beloved. Receive this with courage, with a softening of heart, and with readiness to obey the small next steps given to you along the way, for obedience prepares the soul to receive wonders. Rejoice, hope deeply, and keep your hands open. The day of marvel is nearer than you imagine, and when it arrives, It will sing in the marrow of your days that you were loved, you were waited for, and you were worthy of a miracle. I speak to you now with a voice of gentle promise and fierce resolve, for a season of abundance is coming, and I say without hesitation, my blessings will shower upon you, like rain upon thirsty fields, like sudden harvests that surprise even those who have labored faithfully. Do not misunderstand this as mere pleasant sentiment, but receive it as a reality being arranged in the heavens and on the earth, for provision is being gathered even now. Circumstances are being aligned. Hidden hands are making ways where no way seemed possible, and hearts that have waited long will be surprised by favor that cannot be contained. Expect daily mercies that accumulate into a tide, small openings that widen into doors, word after word of encouragement that grows into a chorus, a check that falls at just the right hour, reconciliation that restores what was broken, health that steadies after long weariness, opportunities that knit together into a new path. These are not accidents but the fingerprints of grace. Prepare a place in your heart to receive what is coming. Clear out the corners where doubt and bitterness like cobwebs have gathered. Sweep away the residue of old regrets, so the floor of your soul can be an altar for thanksgiving, and keep the lamps of expectation trimmed with worship, so that when the first drops fall, you will not be startled, but will rejoice. Do not let fear disguise itself as prudence and steal your hope. Prudence can be a wise steward, but fear dressed up as caution will blind you to doors that open only when you move forward in faith. Open your hands and do not clutch the little you have as if scarcity were your inheritance, because the posture of a closed hand is often the very thing that hinders abundance. A heart that gives away in faith, even before overflow is visible, finds itself becoming a conduit through which favor flows more freely. Practice generosity now, not as a transaction but as a declaration. Give of time, of resources, of mercy, of hospitality, and watch how those very acts become the channels through which showers arrive. Stewardship matters. Manage well the small things and you prepare yourself for greater gifts. Discipline in little things proves you ready for multiplication. Be watchful for the quiet preparations that precede a shower. Conversations that seem casual but hold keys, doors that open in one place because another was faithfully closed, unlikely alliances that form to carry you forward. These are the stitching of providence. Keep a record of small mercies, names, dates, the smell of particular mornings, so that when memory grows dim, you can look back and see the trajectory of goodness. Tell your story of what you have already received. Testimony greases the wheels of expectation and invites others into the work of prayer and anticipation. Invite companions into your hope, faithful ones who will pray with persistence and celebrate without envy, because blessings often land into communities, not into islands, and where hearts unite in expectancy, the atmosphere becomes thick with possibility. Refuse to compare what is coming to another's timetable. The season assigned to you is ordered in wisdom, and what arrives in perfect timing will bear far more fruit than what is hurried. Cultivate patience that is not passive but active, patience that prays, that prepares, that plants and waters, while waiting for the increase that God will bring. Do not hide pride under the guise of humility. When favor appears, acknowledge its source and give thanks, for gratitude protects the blessing from the rod of entitlement. When gifts come, lift your voice in praise and return a portion as worship, so that the flow does not stagnate in your hands. Remember always that what is poured out upon you is meant not only for your comfort but for multiplication. Blessings are rivers meant to water other lives. Hoarded provision withers into a stagnant pool, while generosity makes an ocean. Use what is given to serve the poor, to strengthen relationships, to sow into things that last beyond seasons. The training of children, the building of homes, the support of missions, the making of art and work that blesses your city. Let your gratitude be loud and public. Thanksgiving looses more blessing than silence ever will. Beware of the tests that often shadow great gifts. Sometimes the fearful will urge you to guard every crumb. Anxious voices will masquerade as realistic counsel. Old habits will seek to reclaim you into behaviors that once limited your reach. When opposition comes, do not be surprised. Finish the good work you have begun. Firmness of character will keep what you receive from becoming a snare. Guard your heart against the swagger of sudden success. Humility will preserve blessing and pride will sour it. Teach your children the art of stewardship and generosity, so that the harvest is not consumed by squandering or dissipation. Keep accountability around you. Wise counsel prevents foolish decisions that squander favor. Prepare also for refinement. Blessing sometimes arrives as a crucible, testing your motives and shaping your character so that you can carry more. If riches come, hold them lightly. If influence comes, wield it for justice and mercy. If health returns, use strength to serve rather than to gratify selfish appetite. The true measure of blessing is not only comfort but capacity. Am I through this gift being made more loving, more courageous, more faithful? Let every increase be a crucible of transformation. Where jealousy or suspicion rises in the hearts of those near you, respond with generosity and explanation, not with gloating silence. Let your life show that abundance can be shared without loss. When critics speak, keep your focus on the work set before you, and do not be distracted by the small voices that would like to appropriate your season for their narratives. Keep your expectations anchored in prayer and obedience. Blessings are not magic. They are tied to covenantal promises and to faithfulness. Walk in integrity so that favor finds a consistent place to rest. Repent where necessary. Clear the relational debris that can clog the channels of blessing. Forgiveness not only restores relationships, but clears pathways for abundance to flow. Elderly wisdom matters here. Seek elders and mentors who have stewarded seasons of increase and decline. Their guidance will help you avoid pitfalls that come with swift elevation. Celebrate publicly when breakthrough occurs. Build memorials of thanksgiving so that future generations inherit witness rather than wondering. Be ready for the unexpected form of some showers. Sometimes provision comes as mercy disguised as setback, doors close that reroute you into a field where fruit is more abundant. Sometimes a wound opens the way for deeper dependence and richer compassion. Sometimes a correction trims what is excessive so that new growth can occur. Do not resent the refining. Embrace it as part of the architecture of blessing. When delight comes, receive it with a sober mind and a grateful heart. Anchor your celebrations in worship and in service so that every gift multiplies into good works. Remember the posture of dependence. Blessing is not proof that you are self-sufficient, but proof that you are beloved and entrusted. Keep communion with me daily. Let worship be the first breath of your morning and the last thankful word of your evening. Do not allow the noise of success to drown out the quiet disciplines that drew you near in the first place. Maintain commitment to prayer, to scripture, to fellowship, and to acts of mercy. These are the faithful rhythms that sustain abundance through seasons. In times of plenty, invest in the places where sorrow gathers. Supply for those in lack, and your harvest will be a conduit for mercy rather than a trophy for vanity. Anticipate opposition, but do not be intimidated by it. The closer the blessing, the louder some voices will become to discourage you. In the face of scoffing, remember the quiet, steady history of faith. Often the first scoffers do not live to see the harvest. Stand firm in your declaration. Expectation spoken aloud is a shield against discouragement. Train your tongue to speak hope and thanksgiving more than anxiety. Words shape reality. Keep singing the songs of promise. Praise is a weather vane that directs grace. Finally, when the showers come, do not allow the wonder to be kept private. Let your gratitude be a lamp to others who are still waiting. Testify boldly. Share the story of how help arrived, of doors opening, of reconciliations, of health restored, of burdens lifted. The announcement of mercy becomes an instrument of mercy for someone else. Build structures of giving, tithes, offerings, initiatives that outlast a single season so that the blessings continue to circulate. Teach your family and community to worship with generosity so that the culture you nurture is one of abundance that honors the giver. I have said this with a tenderness that aches for your joy and with a firmness that will not be moved. Prepare, receive, steward, and multiply. Expect showers of favor, gentle at first, then a steady rain. then a downpour that firms the soil and fills the storehouses. Keep your heart soft, your hands open, your feet ready to run with what has been entrusted to you, and your lips full of gratitude. In this way, the blessings that fall will not merely satisfy for a season, but will establish a heritage of provision, praise, and purpose for generations to come. I will heal you, and I say this with a voice that has measured the depths of your hurt and the longness of your waiting, for healing begins not with sudden absence of pain, but with the arrival of a presence that makes pain bearable and meaningful. I see the places where your body trembles, where your mind refuses sleep, where old wounds ache anew with each memory, and I come to bind, to soothe, to mend what has been torn. Be patient with the unfolding, for some mending is swift and startling, and some repair is gently measured, so that what is made whole will stay whole. Do not mistake silence for absence. Even in seasons when restoration seems slow, hands are at work rearranging what will sustain you long after the first relief fades. I will heal the places of shame that have kept you hidden, the hurts that whispered you were unlovable, the betrayals that taught you to build walls. I will not simply remove the scars, but will reframe them into witness, so that those marks become testimony rather than tombstones. Expect the reconciling of relationships that were rent by words or by silence. Expect conversations that bring truth without cruelty and reconciliation without falsehood, and know that sometimes reconciliation begins with one humble step, an apology spoken with courage, forgiveness offered with steady resolve, or a listening ear given without judgment. I will heal the loneliness that has hollowed your nights. My presence will sit with you in the dark and refuse to leave until dawn's light returns warmth to your bones. I will heal the anxious calculations that robbed your rest, the endless rehearsals of catastrophe that dried the well of your joy. Breathe, and in the breathing feel steadiness return, for calm is not absence of trouble, but a settled trust that outlives the waves. I will mend the broken places in your calling, those doors that slammed in your face, those hopes that seemed to vanish, those plans that faltered under pressure, and I will open windows in unexpected rooms so that purpose returns like a steady current rather than a sudden gust. Some healing will come through the hands of others, physicians whose skill I empower, friends whose patience reflects my compassion, counselors who help the tangled threads of memory become straight, therapists and medicines, and the steady work of time. Receive help without shame, for the means I use are varied and holy when offered in faith. Other healing will come as a quiet reordering within, a slow rewiring of how you see yourself, a gentle loosening of the knots of old lies, the reclaiming of truth about who you are. In each way I use the ordinary to carry the extraordinary. Do not despise small mercies, do not ignore modest changes, for often the smallest shifts are the first steps toward full health. There will be days when the ache returns and you will be tempted to think the promise failed. Do not despair, for renewal is seldom linear. Progress may arrive in circles, 2 steps forward and 1 back, but each loop builds a stronger foundation beneath your feet. When setbacks come, bring them to me plainly. Do not hide them in shame. Name the fear, tell the frustration, allow the tears, and we will walk through the valley together. There is no pity in silence. Truth voiced is the beginning of true healing. I will stand with you in seasons of medical uncertainty and in those of spiritual testing. Where fear demands a verdict, I will be your advocate. Where doubt sits like a heavy stone, I will lift it with words of remembering. Call upon the testimonies of those who have been carried through trials before you. Let their stories shore up your faith. Keep a ledger of small mercies, the mornings you woke with less weight, the nights you slept a little easier, the moments when laughter slipped in unexpectedly, so that on darker days you can read proof that restoration has already begun. Honor the rhythms that sustain recovery. Rest when the body commands, nourish the body with food that strengthens, practice gentleness with yourself where once you demanded perfection, and allow time to weave what haste would only tear. Discipline is not denial but caretaking, steady sleep, measured work, honest confession, and practices of gratitude are not mere piety but practical scaffolding for healing. Re-engage with worship not as a last resort, but as a daily garment. Singing even when the voice trembles and praying, even when words are clumsy, call healing into the atmosphere. Remember, praise does not deny pain. It brings a different perspective into which pain is placed, and in that new frame, pain loses tyrannical control. Invite community to your bedside, literal or figurative. Let friends carry burdens you cannot bear alone. Isolation is a fertile field for discouragement, but shared weight becomes manageable and often yields breakthroughs. If bitterness has rooted in your heart because of what others have done, uproot it with repeated acts of forgiveness, not because the offense is small, but because holding it only binds you tighter. Forgiveness is a discipline that frees the forgiver first. If shame tries to hide you, name what you are ashamed of and hand it over, for secret sins grow monstrous in the dark while confessed faults shrink in the light. I will heal the memories that replay wounds without end. I will reframe them, not to minimize what was suffered, but to redeem the story so that pain becomes a passage to compassion rather than a prison of resentment. Let memory be repurposed into ministry. What once wounded can become the very map by which you help another across the same jagged terrain. When medical treatments are harsh or when recovery is long, do not think that faithless endurance earns less compassion from me. Perseverance in difficult treatment, the choice to continue when hope seems thin, is itself worship. Bring your doubts openly into prayer, and do not be afraid to ask hard questions. Faith that wrestles is more durable than faith that pretends not to ache. Seek counsel and discernment when treatments offer risk. Wisdom uses both prayer and practical knowledge. I do not call you away from doctors, therapists, or wise counsel. I call you toward wholehearted trust that the means and the miracle operate together. Expect restoration to shape not only health but identity. Where illness or injury once redefined you, healing will reclaim and rearticulate your story. You will be more tender toward the suffering of others, more patient in small annoyances, more grateful for ordinary mornings, and more decisive about what truly matters. Your testimony of being brought from weakness to strength will be a lamp to many who stand in the long dark of their own affliction. Prepare to honor the journey, celebrate milestones, sing songs of gratitude, write the story of what was recovered, so that memory becomes a testimony rather than a relapse into fear. Let thanksgiving be the echo that follows each small victory, and make room in your life to steward the grace you receive by giving to those who lack. Do not mistake healing for instant perfection. Sometimes the greatest work is in learning to live with new limits and yet remaining fully alive. Acceptance of changed capacity can itself be a form of healing if it is coupled with creativity and trust. New rhythms, new callings, new ways of serving often emerge from what seemed like an end. Embrace such reformation with courage. Allow the closure of some doors to guide you gently toward others you would not have seen while you were hurried. When help comes, receive it with gratitude and with wise stewardship. Do not hoard the gift, but use it for good. I will heal you in ways that also heal those around you. Families will find peace restored, old wounds in relationships will be revisited and mended, and homes will quiet from the turmoil that illness often brings. The ripple of restoration touches communities. One healed life redistributes hope to many. Be ready to pass on what you receive, serve, give, encourage, so your healing becomes a bridge for others. Above all, never lose sight of the certainty of my presence. I am with you in the ache, I am with you in the tests, I am with you in the tedious work of recovery. My promise to heal is not a magic formula but a relational truth. Come near, and healing will come in ways aligned with goodness. Hold fast to hope, practice patience, embrace help, steward the small mercies, and let every part of your life become an offering of trust. I will walk with you into fullness, and even if the road twists and the timetable confounds you, know that healing is being arranged. Keep faith awake, keep gratitude vocal, keep service steady, and you will find that what was broken is being knit new into a life that bears deeper compassion, truer purpose, and louder songs of praise. Today's struggle may be tomorrow's testimony, and I say this with a tenderness that knows the weight you carry. and with a firmness that refuses to let your pain be wasted. What presses down upon you now is not meaningless grinding, but the slow, shaping work that will make your story useful to others, for hardship has a way of carving channels through which compassion and wisdom flow, and the very trials that threaten to crush you will, in time, become the beams that hold up someone else's shelter. Remember that the furnace does not exist to punish the metal but to purify it. In the heat, dross rises and is removed so the true nature beneath can shine. And while the fire is uncomfortable, it is purposeful. So endure with eyes open to what is being formed within you, rather than looking only at the ache that accompanies the forming. There will be nights when the questions outnumber the answers, when despair knocks with 1,000 small arguments that your pain is unique, that you are alone, that no redemption is coming. Resist those whispers by keeping a ledger of small mercies, by naming aloud the moments when help arrived, by rehearsing once more the ways you have been carried before, because memory is an ally that turns confusion into clarity and keeps testimony honest instead of mythical. Share the little things now. Tell one person the truth of your morning, the small victory, the tiny kindness, the prayer you cannot yet see answered. These fragments will become the mosaic of your future witness, and the practice of speaking them aloud trains your tongue for the day when your whole story will be told for healing, not for harm. Do not hurry the process. Testimony is not merely the narrative of what changed, but the faithful recounting of what was lived, and authenticity requires time. There is a temptation to dramatize or to skip the slow parts in order to have a quicker, cleaner story, but hurried testimonies often ring false. They lack the depth that only endurance and repentance and honest sorrow produce.